How is everyone doing today? Today we're going to talk about work from home during COVID times, how to maximize your energy. Now, what is different during COVID times? Let's start with that. And before that, let me start. My name is Madhujit, and type in your questions in the comment box, and we will take it up at the end of towards the end of the session. All right. So, what is different about COVID times? COVID times, work from home is not something new that most of us have experienced. Even if we had, even if we had not experienced it, we knew it was always there. Companies had it there. Company had it part of the policy. How is it different? Is that we talk about we have work from home along with work for home, no mates, children at home, no school, children have their online classes, um, endless meetings for us, connectivity issues, multiple things happening at the same time. Take care of the lunch at home, take care of the dinner at the snacks for the children, all that put together. And for all this, we were not given any time to prepare. It just happened overnight. It make all our adjustments overnight. So, so what happens now? Each one of us are experiencing some troughs and some low, each some highs and some low. And if you look at, we had a, hey Omna, good to see you here. So each one of us have been going through the the energy lows and the energy highs at different points in time. The fact is that time is limited, exactly 24 hours in a day and 168 hours in a week. We can't do anything. It's a finite resource. The good news is energy is a different ball game entirely. We can expand our energy, we can renew our energy, and we can use the same energy efficiently, like just like the energy outside of us. We talk about energy as in power, energy as in wind, anything. So we can, like, once again, we can expand, we can renew, and we can also use it more efficiently than we do. So, what is personal energy? Personal energy can be divided into four parts. The first and the most important one is the physical energy. I mean, that's where we find out that we are totally drained out of. That's the best way to find out uh, is that we are drained out. Yes, physically we feel less energy. We have emotional energies. We can gauge our ups and downs in our emotions. We have our mental energies, and finally we have spiritual energy. Mental energy is a little difficult to find out whether we are in a mental energy high or we are on a low, and so is the case with spiritual energy. Spiritual energy is the least difficult to, most difficult to find out whether we kind of using it more efficiently or not. So when we talk about physical energy, uh, we talk about how do we optimize our physical energy? How do we, what are the factors that will help us build that energy? Uh, One, we all know it, uh, nutrition is the biggest thing. Are we taking the right kind of a food? COVID times, we see a whole lot of these culinary skills coming up, the pictures, the beautiful pictures, etc. Let's balance it out. Healthy food can also be beautiful, healthy can also be creative. So we talk about, uh, hi Kirtika, welcome. And we talk about healthy foods. Uh, uh, Build in these healthy foods. Check your sugar levels, because white sugar is a big drain on energy. Minimize your sugar levels. Improve the protein intake. Improve the fruits. You can, if you want sugar, have it in fruits. Fruits have enough of it. So nutrition is one aspect. Exercise is another aspect. So by more, when we are working, the most that I get to hear is I don't have time for exercise. Utilize the travel time into your exercise. We all know, I mean, I don't have to explain any more than it. People who exercise every day feel more energetic towards the end of the day than people who don't exercise. We spent more exercise. Um, we spend more energy exercising, but it's building energy, it's renewing our energy. We're not spending it, we're not wasting it. The third factor is sleep. Are we getting enough sleep? Are we having hey Kiran, my good to see you here. Thanks for agreeing to it. Quarantine has talent. Yes, it does. Quarantine has talent. The food talent specifically that I see every day. Okay, so sleep is important. Sleep, how many hours of sleep we do, and how well do we sleep? Are we sleeping deeply? If we aren't, then we need to do some meditation that helps us get the complete sleep that we need. Can we break our sleep night? Can we take a cat nap in the afternoon if we're not getting enough sleep? So sleep, I mean, we all know it. If you didn't have a good night's sleep, I can't be creative the next day. So sleep becomes a very, very critical element. And the last one also is very, very critical. We talk about uh, that our energy levels, or our body is made in such a way that we have these ups and downs in our energy, and we need to keep renewing it. So some people say it's about a 90 minutes, some people say a 60 minute. So every 60 minutes or every 90 minutes, take a break, go and renew your energy. Go for a walk. Just don't do anything at that time. Don't pick up something else, don't make a call or something, but just be, and that helps renew the energy. So these breaks are extremely critical. And if I take the example of sports, a lot of us talk about cricket, so I'm going to talk about cricket, though I'm not a big fan of cricket. So if you notice, the bowler, uh, once the ball comes back to the bowler after one particular ball, the next ball, the ball comes back to the bowler takes time to position himself or herself before they start the action of bowling. So that positioning is the break they're taking to renew their energy. And excuse me, sports people know it extremely well. I mean, they know it intuitively that they need to take breaks and they need to renew their energies. But people at work, we forget about it. So those breaks, you have to see what is your time, what is your uptime and a downtime. Take those breaks and you'll do much, much, much better. So, so we talked about physical energy. Let's go on to emotional energy. Uh, these days during COVID times, we are bombarded with negative news. COVID, you start a news channel, they're only talking about COVID, what's happening and what's not good about the world, and what's going back. Of course, the environment is improving, but that's a small news. The bigger news is that we are all we are all living in fear. Will I get it? Will my neighbor get it? When the schools start, will my kids get it? How clean the schools will be for my children? So this kind of stress is we are constantly bombarded with this information. How do we manage our emotional energies? Emotional energies where you know emotional energies while just excuse me, I'll take a sip of water. Sorry about that. So emotional energies, when we look at emotional energies, whether we are the deep sadness or fear or anxieties, or we are an emotional high of being very happy, excited, both the extremes of our emotions drain us of our energy. How do we regain the energy? So, and when we are drained of our energy, we can't focus, we can't do anything. We feel physically exhausted as well. So, how do we renew our emotional energies? One way to do is, of course, whenever you're feeling a high or a low, the deep breath, the belly breathing that we take, that helps us. Another way is, it's a proven fact that another way to manage your emotion when you're emotionally drained out, whether it is stress, sadness, anything, is appreciate somebody. Appreciate someone who deserves it, probably hasn't got it. So take that time out to write an email or call up a person and tell them what good they've done. That helps us manage our emotional energies. So we've talked about physical energy, we've talked about emotional energy. Now we're going to talk about mental energy and our spiritual energy. When we talk about mental energy, we're more looking at the focus. Are we able to focus on our work? How much focus are we able to do? Now, during COVID times, what happens, since there are no maids, the bell rings and the gas cylinder that we booked, that guy's come in, or the big basket delivery boy has come in. So we don't have control on those. We have to take the bell when the bell rings, or we we have to move out of sometimes even very important meetings and attend to that. The children may need attention. Suddenly something has happened. Something is paining to the child. So our focus keeps changing. Um, During non-COVID times, there was a research in the US where it showed that we have about 87 interruptions in a day. 87 is not a small number. COVID times, I'm sure it has crossed 100 during the day, including our work hours. So, how do we manage our focus? Uh, WhatsApp, ensure certain times of the day, put your phone aside, absolutely on silent, and get you know uh, don't get tempted to see if some message has come in, or even if it's silent. We are always so tempted to see whether there's a phone message or an email or anything else. So let's just put it aside. Dedicate those times in a day. You would know better what part of the day you can dedicate it. When the kids won't interrupt, there is high likelihood there's no doorbell going to be ringing. That's the best time to start working on yourself. That's the best time to work on something which requires your focus. Emails, dedicate a time for it. WhatsApp, dedicate a time for it. Family time, dedicate a time for it. But if there is something which really requires some serious work, it could be personal, professional, anything, ensure you do it at a time where there are going to be least number of interruptions. Out of those 100 plus interruptions which are going to be there, let the minimum be at that during that time. And some of it we do have control, some of it we don't have control. So let's do as much as we can. Focus is important, and that renews when we do some focused work. Try this experiment. I mean, I think a whole lot of people have talked about it, that when we are absolutely focused, we do not undergo any emotions at that point. During that time, after we finish the work, is when the emotion of high or low, of achievement and non-achievement has come in. uh, so so if you're in that situation when you kind of lost track of time, you are completely energized. For me, when I'm in a training session and I'm absolutely fine the 8 hours day that I stand and speak, I am not tired at end of the day because I'm totally focused inside the room. So for you, check out what gives you focus. Also, sometimes it helps to dedicate your time to something that you enjoy doing, not necessarily work related, but also at home. Some people like the culinary skills, perfectly fine if that gives them focus. Some people like to draw, paint, whatever works for you, fine. So, lastly, we talk about the spiritual energy. Now, spiritual energy, uh, the word spiritual itself has so many connotations, but here we talk about connecting with self. Um, connecting what's most important to you, what gives you most satisfaction. So each one of us have a lot of uh, a lot of ways to engage spiritually. It could be taking up a hobby. Sometimes taking up a hobby which puts you in a deep focus is also very spiritual. You know, your praying ritual, your what you offer to God every day, it's again very spiritual. Meditation is a good way. Spiritual is also another way of appreciating yourself. Now, appreciating self is also a spiritual energy. Accepting self completely and wholly, not just the good part about me, but some things that probably I find myself as my weakness. Accepting that part of me, being proud of myself, what I am, is also spiritual energy. So when we do that, we are energized, we are using our spiritual or renewing our spiritual energies, we're expanding our spiritual energy. So when we focus on all these four parts of our energies, one after the other, and over a period of time develop some routines in which we are renewing these energies, we will find that we are doing more during the day than we were doing earlier. So that's it. So just to recap about four kinds of energy: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. Physical is about nutrition, exercise, sleep, and our physical breaks. Emotional is about being an emotional self, and renewing our emotional energy whenever we feel sometimes very, very stressed out. Deep breaths and appreciating others, appreciating those who deserve. We don't talk about appreciating just for the heck of it, but those who deserve. Also, sometimes also diverting your attention from very negative news to what's good about it. The third mental energy is we're talking about focusing. See where your focus is, where you enjoy doing, and where you can actually just forget the world and do that. And lastly, the spiritual energy. And spiritual energy is absolutely very, very difficult to define. How do we connect with ourselves? One of the most critical part being appreciating self, accepting self completely and wholly. That is WHOLLY, not HOLY. Wholly, completely accepting ourselves the way we are. The more we accept ourselves, the more we accept it's actually been proven. I like to make that statement. It's actually been proven over a period of time. Our strengths becomes our weaknesses, and knowledge of our weaknesses actually becomes our strengths. Because if we know we are weak at this, we will work towards it. We will work best towards it, and it becomes a strength over a period of time. So I see Kiranmay is asking a question. During the work from home times, we tend not to follow our office timings and always for longer and get more drained out. Planning better is certainly an option, but do you have any other suggestion? You know what? It's not just planning, it is also communicating our plans. So, surprisingly, yesterday I was speaking with Manoranjita. Manu had said that, screen off, sign off. At some point, we need to communicate that this is our time off and we are not going to be into it again. So, it is important that we communicate our boundaries to others. And in these times, it becomes all the more important to communicate, because whether it is family, whether it is work, everybody is going through the uncertainty. I don't know tomorrow if I have a job or not, and that itself stresses me out, and that stress I'll push on to my family, push on to my colleagues. So you may be finding that the work getting pushed on to you. So communicating in a manner which is non-offensive and telling them that this is your boundary, and adhering to those boundaries also sometimes becomes very, very critical, Kiranmay. So does that help, Kiranmay? Spiritual played a very... all right. Rajni says spiritual energy plays a very big, important, and tough time. I'm still trying to improve on it. All the best, Rajni. Appreciating another. never thought of this. So thank you, Rajneet. You must appreciate, send me an appreciation after this. Any other questions? All right. So thank you everyone for being part of this role, of this group. Kiran, do you have any other suggestion? How do you actually do it? How do you do it? Because past we're almost 60 days into work from home, and your kind of work is extremely difficult to work from home. Your kind of industry that you come from is also extremely difficult. How have you managed all these times? So we'll take this up, Kiranmay, later. Uh, all right, so that's all for now. Thank you, folks, for joining in. Thanks a ton for being there. And see you around soon. I try to book a focus time for myself and try to stick to my, Kiran, the only suggestion is just remove the word try and say, okay, I book a focus time and stick to my plans. Sometimes plans don't work, that's okay, but stick to the plans, that's all. Thanks for that. That's a good suggestion. So have you dedicate a focused time. In fact, some organizations have actually said there are going to be no meetings during a particular hour, and it's company wise. So, irrespective of the urgency of the meetings don't happen. Thank you, Kirtika. Thank you, everyone. So, see you around later. Bye bye. Take care. Safe. Stay safe. Stay healthy.